Have you ever felt like you're working harder and harder but just not getting ahead? You are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack the book that totally changed how millions of people think about money, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We are going to break down its most powerful lessons right here, right now. Let's dive right in. So this is the big question, right? It's the question at the very heart of the book, and let's be honest, it's something most of us have wondered about. Is the answer just getting a bigger paycheck? Or is there some kind of secret to building wealth that they just never taught us in school? Well, Rich Dad, Poor Dad argues it's something way, way deeper than that. You see, the whole book is built around Kiyosaki's personal story of his two father figures. Each one had a completely different way of looking at money. And this contrast, this conflict, well, it's the foundation for everything he teaches.
On one side, you had his poor dad. That was his actual father, a super smart, highly educated guy with a PhD and a safe government job. Yet he struggled with money his entire life. Then you have his rich dad, his best friend's father. This guy never even finished middle school but went on to build a financial empire. Think about that for a second. The man with all the formal education was poor, and the one without it was rich. As you can guess, their advice was worlds apart. And this is where we get the first huge aha moment of the book. The difference between them wasn't the size of their paycheck. It wasn't about a fancy diploma on the wall. It was all about their mindset. Kiyosaki's huge argument is that our financial reality isn't really shaped by our job, but by the way we think about money.
So, okay, how do you start to think like the rich? Well, the very first step is to understand and then escape what Kiyosaki famously calls the rat race. This right here is the trap, the rat race, and it's a cycle that so many of us know all too well. You go to work to get a paycheck. That money immediately goes out to bills and rent and everything else, and boom, you're right back where you started, just waiting for the next paycheck to do it all over again. It's an endless loop that's powered by two really powerful emotions: the fear of not having enough money and the desire for all the nice things we think money can buy. But here's the thing. The rich are playing a totally different game. They don't show up to work just for the salary. They work to learn. They're focused on picking up skills, things like sales, marketing, investing, skills that let them build systems. And these are systems that make money for them even when they're not working. I mean, it's a complete shift in why you even have a job in the first place. This brings us to what is probably the most important lesson in the entire book: understanding the language of money. And you know what? It all boils down to just two very simple concepts. First up, an asset. Kiyosaki's definition is just brilliantly simple. An asset is anything, and I mean anything, that puts money into your pocket. It generates income for you, simple as that. And the opposite, of course, is a liability. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. It costs you money, month after month after month. And this, right here, is the core of the whole strategy. The rich spend their lives buying assets. Everybody else, we tend to spend our money on liabilities that we mistake for assets. That new car loan, the latest phone, that fancy stuff you put on a credit card, they might feel like you're building wealth, but really, they're just pulling money out of your pocket. The big takeaway here isn't about how much you earn. It's all about what you do with the money you have. Okay, so if the goal is to buy assets, where should you be focusing your energy? Well, that leads us right into lesson number 3, mind your own business. Now, Kiyosaki makes a really sharp distinction here. He says your profession is what you do to pay the bills. You know, you might be a teacher, a doctor, an engineer, but your business, your real business, is your asset column. That's the part that actually builds your wealth. So what does that actually look like? Well, the advice isn't to just march into your boss's office and quit tomorrow. The strategy is to keep your day job that pays the bills, right? But to start dedicating your extra time and extra money to building your real business, which is your collection of assets. The idea is to focus on growing that, not just climbing the corporate ladder. All right, let's pull all of these ideas together. The main goal, the whole point of all this, is to get to a place of financial freedom by completely shifting how you approach money. So what are the actual steps? It really boils down to this. 1. Change your mindset and get out of that rat race. 2. Learn the super simple language of assets versus liabilities. 3. Focus like a laser on building up your asset column. And 4. Never ever stop investing in your own financial education. That is the most valuable asset you will ever own. And we'll just end on this. This one quote really captures the entire philosophy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not about some get-rich-quick scheme. It's about building the life where you are not a slave to money, but you are its master. The ultimate question the book leaves us with is a simple one. Are you working for your money, or is your money working for you?